Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today we're going to be looking at what exactly is Warhammer Age of Sigmar and how do we get started in the game. Warhammer Age of Sigmar is a miniature war game produced by Games Workshop that simulates battles between armies using miniature figurines. Games are typically played on a relatively flat surface such as a dining table, bespoke gaming table, or an area of floor. The playing area is often decorated with models and materials representing buildings and terrain. Players take turns taking a range of actions with their models, moving, charging, shooting with ranged weapons, fighting and casting magical spells, the outcomes of which are generally determined by dice rolls. Besides the game itself, a large part of Age of Sigmar is dedicated to the hobby side of collecting, assembling and painting the miniature figurines from the game. Age of Sigmar is set in the Mortal Realms, a system of 8 interconnected realms spawned from the winds of magic. The second edition with it brought rules for each of these realms, adding spells, artifacts and realm characteristics, enabling you to play within the Mortal Realms in your games. So why are you wanting to get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar should always be the first question you ask yourself. There are many different reasons to get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Some of them could be you like the models and wish to paint or build them and just simply build up a collection of fantastic looking miniatures. Others might be that you wish to have sort of communal games with your local friends and your close other acquaintances, while you may particularly want to go into the competitive scene and join into massive tournaments that are organized where hundreds of players get together playing and battling it out to see who is the very best. This is an important decision to make because it will affect how you choose your army as you go through looking at different armies, and as the game updates and updates different armies over time, different armies will become the top tier armies and others will fall particularly by the wayside and not necessarily be as good for a competitive scene. This also means that model ranges might not be updated as well. If you're a particular collector, you may want the newest and the shiniest miniatures that are out. This means that some armies might not be seeing updates for a while, and so if you're a collector, you may be waiting a while to get some new models for your collection. All this really affects, and it is really the first question you should ask yourself when getting into Warhammer Age of Sigmar is, why am I getting into Warhammer Age of Sigmar? But once we've got that out of the way and asked that question, we can start looking at how we can get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And so through the rest of the video, we're going to be talking about how you can get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So where to start for Warhammer Age of Sigmar? Where do you go and get your first miniatures? We're going to look at some great value ways to get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and this includes a various amount of different ways. To start with, you can pick up the latest starter set. This does change over with every new edition, and at the current point in time, it is the Soul Wars box set and associated smaller versions of this kit on which you can pick up. This is a great box set for you and a friend to go pick up and start Warhammer Age of Sigmar, as it gives you 2 armies, all the rules you need to play, plus a lot of the tools you need as well. You get some really fantastic looking miniatures and 2 very different armies that play in very different ways in this box set, and definitely a fantastic way to start. However, if you're not into one of the armies that is in the Soul Wars box set, there are other ways you can go and get your first miniatures for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. There is a wide range of start collecting box sets. These are small box sets that aim at giving you a starting force of a particular faction. While not every faction in the game has a start collecting box, there is a wide range of these boxes, and some armies even have more than one, giving you access to different aspects of the army across these various different start collecting boxes. We've got a whole range of videos focusing on these start collecting boxes and what they give you and how you can expand upon them on the channel. Other ways you can go and get your first miniatures are, at time to time, Games Workshop will release dual box sets. You can see these down in the bottom right. We have the Feast of Bone box set, which was a box set released by Games Workshop, which gave you both Ogres and Ossiarch Bone Reapers. Very similar to the starter set, this will give you a small core rule supplement plus a narrative supplement for the particular story going on inside the box set, along with tokens, War Scroll cards for the units inside. It'll also give you a decent range of models that will come in at quite a large discount if you purchase them otherwise. So these are another great way. Though with these, they are generally made in limited runs and are not always available. But if you can find one of these and pick it up for a cheap price, you're doing a good job. The last way you can pick up your first miniatures that saves you a bit of money is looking into either the launch boxes like we got for the Lumineth Realm Lords. Unfortunately, this particular box set is no longer available. Once again, these ones are generally limited runs, or look at the Christmas box sets that GW, or Games Workshop rather, brings out every year that has a cheaper force of a particular army and a singular faction. The launch box sets generally come with a lot of things to do with the army, while these Christmas boxes generally are just a whole host of models, but both of them come in at amazing value. These are all some great ways to get started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and definitely some things to look into if you're just getting into the game. So besides your models, what else will you need to get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar? So the first thing you're going to need is needing some tools and some paint to get those models up and built and painted. Games Workshop themselves do provide a wide range of tools and paints, of which are of varying quality. You do also have access to a lot of other tools from lots and lots of different companies that you can find easily by asking around. Paints especially have a lot of range out there, and for tools you can pick up a lot of stuff quite a lot cheaper than your average Games Workshop tool at a local hobby store or even an arts and crafts store. Next up, you're going to want to go and invest in some of the books that allow you to play the game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar in a more in-depth way. For this, my first suggestion would be going and picking up your army's battle tome. If you decided to pick a particular faction in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, picking up the battle tome is the next thing you should do. This book will give you all the rules and additional rules on top of that for playing your army how it's supposed to be played on the tabletop. It'll give you a whole host of different things like access to new spells, access to different ways to play command traits, and just a whole host of different things and options you otherwise don't get without this book. General rulebook is also a great buy, as well as it will give you the core foundations of how to play. While you will in many box sets get a free sample rules, and also on the Warhammer Age of Sigmar app you will get access to the very basic core rules, this will give you an expansion upon that and give you more fleshed out rules, including battle plans and ways to play the game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar in different ways. You'll also probably want to go out and grab a book that comes out annually called The General's Handbook. This is a fantastic book that not only gives us all our match play points in an updated fashion, very much like a yearly FAQ, but it'll also give you access to different ways to play in a narrative aspect and also some fun open play ways to play as well. A fantastic book, and anyone getting into Warhammer Age of Sigmar should pick up this book regardless of which way you like to play the game. You also have the option to go pick up supplemental books. Now, these are completely up to each person of whether or not they pick it, because they are, as the name suggests, supplemental. None of these are needed to play the game of Age of Sigmar and are purely additional bolt-on rules that you can add to your games. Some of these supplements even give rules to extra factions, and even give entire new war scrolls out as well, or update old war scrolls. It is worth mentioning though, when these ones give out new war scrolls, they are updated in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar app, which gives you all the war scrolls and the very basic core rules for free. After that, if you're deciding to get into playing the game, there are two important things you should do. The first is dice. Without dice, you can't play the game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. It is a dice rolling game, and as such, you need dice. Games Workshop do sell dice, but you can find dice anywhere you look. Board game stores, literally anywhere. Even your local supermarket might have some dice sitting in down one of the kids' aisles. You then can also choose, if you want to up your experience in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, to go find some of the combat or game tools you can find, like the picture here in the middle with the two models sitting either side of this is called a combat gauge, and it's just a little tool that you can use to measure quick distances. You also want things particularly like tape measures and other little tokens as well to help you count particular parts of the game that otherwise might become hard to track if you don't have them. All in all, these are definitely some things I would go pick up next for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And so now we're going to go look at where you can go to go find some games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So where can you go find places to build, paint, and play Warhammer Age of Sigmar games? To start with, I would suggest looking up on social media at various different places. You can find Facebook groups or even Discord servers, YouTube channels like this one, and even on Twitter you might be able to find access to a Warhammer community. These online Warhammer communities can point you in the right direction most of the time towards local clubs and areas that have wargaming events near you. Generally, events are tied to clubs, so if you can find events, you can find a club nearby. Also, Games Workshop does have a wide range of stores all across the country. I believe there's over 500 stores worldwide, and especially if you're in Australia, America, or Europe, or the UK, you can find access to these stores pretty easily. There's also a ton of independent retailer hobby stores, and these are the absolute lifeblood of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar community, and indeed the wargaming community in total. These stores generally are run by people who are gamers for gamers, and I myself love my friendly local game store, or you might see them using the anagram FLGS, which literally stands for Friendly Local Game Store. All these stores, whether Warhammer stores or whether a local game store or even a club, all these places are fantastic ways to get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar that little bit more and find like-minded people enjoying the hobby just like you. The last thing you can do for getting into Warhammer Age of Sigmar is start to explore the narrative and the lore behind the game. Games Workshop have a subsidiary company called Black Library that provides an amount of books, both novels, novellas, audiobooks, audio dramas, and a whole bunch of other things besides that fill you in on the background and lore of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And indeed, they do also do this for their other game systems, whether that be things like Necromunda, Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer 30,000, Blood Bowl, and a whole host of other games as well. Black Library is definitely something worth checking out, and we do have a video on the channel titled Getting into Black Library Age of Sigmar Fiction, which I'll leave a link down in the description below. If you'd like to start getting into Black Library Fiction, go and have a check out of that video, and you can find out just how to do so and get a good sense of bearing of the setting to begin with. Lastly, if you're wanting to get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar, I will point you in the direction of some other fantastic YouTube channels, as there is a ton of Warhammer Age of Sigmar content out there. Not only YouTube channels, but you can also find Warhammer Age of Sigmar on podcasts, on Twitch, and also indeed some other great blogs. But for me, YouTube is the way I like to get my Warhammer Age of Sigmar fix. You can find channels that do tactical analysis and tactical talk shows like AOS Coach, or you can find channels that do battle reports like Rerolling Ones and other fantastic battle report channels out there. You have topical talk shows like Warhammer Weekly, which is found on Vince Venturella's channel, and you also have shows that are dedicated towards particular factions in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, such as Aethercast, which focuses on solely Kharadron Overlords talk. There is a ton more channels I would recommend, and you can find them all in the featured channels section of my YouTube channel. I definitely recommend going and giving everyone in the featured channels a subscribe, as they're all a fantastic bunch of channels and people running the channels that like nothing more than helping people get into Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Well, I hope that video was helpful, and I hope you have found your way into Warhammer Age of Sigmar and will be joining us in the hobby very soon. If you liked the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as that means the world to us and helps us get more and more people into Age of Sigmar as well. Also, if you'd like to come chat with me more and other members of the Warhammer Age of Sigmar community, especially those on the Facebook group, you can do so by following the link down to our Discord in the description of the video below. Lastly, I'd like to give a special shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon. These people make everything I do possible. Thank you to our Sinful Guard Militia, Christian Weir, Philip Ward, Soren, Kenny Lowell, Alderon, Shot First, Cal Spawn, and James Crowder, and our Free Good Regiment members James and AJC. Thank you all so much for your support. If you'd like to help support the channel like these fine people do, you can do so by following the link down to our Patreon in the description of the video down below. Thank you all for watching though. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, everyone, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.